The Bear Lair. The Bear Lair. Party time. Excellent. This episode brought to you by tacos. Proudly serving the United States of America since 1527. Not all statements are based on fact. Today's guest needs no introduction in the culinary world. Winner of the IACP Cookbook Award. Winner of the World Food Media Award. And winner of the esteemed James Beard Award for Excellence. Please welcome chef, author, and purveyor of deliciousness, Dave Joachim. So Dave, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Would you mind starting off by just telling us kind of exactly what you do? Like, what is it that you actually do?
Well, I've been a full-time professional food writer for 30 years. I started out in magazines, and I have written for magazines, but mostly I've written cookbooks, and I'm working on cookbook number 52 right now. So that's written, edited, collaborated on. So some I edited. I was working at Rodale here in the Lehigh Valley, and I wrote cookbooks and edited cookbooks there. But there's probably, of those 50 odd books, there's maybe 35 have my name on the cover.
Okay.
35, 40. Some are mine solely. I did the recipes. Some I collaborated with people, but mostly I focused on cookbooks. And in the past few years, I started doing more digital editing and digital food writing. So I've been working with this company, Wicked Kitchen, a vegan food company, and I edit their website, write some stuff for them.
Great. So when you say edit for a cookbook, what is it? So it's not like normal editing where you're looking for punctuation mistakes, or is it?
Let's go back to English class, okay? There are 3 basic steps to everything that's written. This could be your grocery list, okay? Research is number 1. And with your grocery list, what's the first thing you do? You open up the fridge. Hey, what do we need? That's your research. Second thing you do is you write. You just start writing things out. So you write down your list, right? Third thing you do is you look it over and you correct mistakes, or you add things that you forgot. That's editing.
Gotcha. So you'll try out a recipe as you're reading through this cookbook, looking for any issues.
Yeah,
and then make changes based off of that.
Yeah, and the writing has to be smoothed out because it started from research and notes. And
so can you speak to some peripheral careers within the food industry for us? There's some other things going on.
Absolutely. I mean, I am in the publishing industry, okay? So you got to think of all of the other industries that food touches, starting with farming. I mean, that is producing food, and then processing that food processing. And then there's distribution, there's sales and marketing, there are food product companies, there are the people who, like me, work on showing people how to cook. There are cooking teachers, there are cooking schools, then there are restaurants, and there are all sorts of jobs, chefs, entrepreneurs, there are servers, there are people who just do interior design for restaurants. Okay, there is a whole job, there's a cottage industry, pretty lucrative cottage industry for styling food for photography, and that is a full-time, pretty well-paid job.
Really? So when you say styling food, is this for magazines? It's for the internet? Like, what are we talking about?
All of the above. Just imagine the last Burger King commercial you saw.
Okay.
That gorgeous burger falling from the sky, and it's falling onto a bun.
And it never looks like
that. The sesame seeds are like cascading in the air. Like, a food stylist made that happen.
Yeah, and then you know what, they do a good job too, right?
Exactly.
You get it and it's packaged and it's all smushed normally, and it's a mess.
Yeah. So I mean, that's you know, again, just think of all of the industries involved in food, from farming to eating. Like, it's just so much. There's a ton.
Awesome.
There's a great book, I should say, called Food Jobs, written by a friend of mine, and it has a full array of all the industries that you could be in as a food professional.
So I have a loaded question here for you. Life's a journey, right?
Oh yeah.
So, how did you get to where you are today? Like, how do you end up writing cookbooks, editing cookbooks? What's your journey?
I mean, I love to eat and always have. So, first thing I made was mashed potatoes with my grandmother when I was, I don't know, like 6 or 7, and I was always hanging out in the kitchen because it smelled better. Like, there was stuff happening. You know, TV was a little boring. I watched football games and stuff, but I was just like, oh, there's real stuff happening in here. There are knives, there's fire. This is kind of cool. And so I started cooking, and my first job was as a dishwasher in a hotel restaurant. And then I became a line cook, and I thought, well, this is kind of hard work, actually. This is cooking is very physical work, professionally. And it's usually at least 60 hours a week if you're doing it as a professional in a restaurant. It takes a toll on the body. So I thought, I don't want to do this. I'm going to go to school and get a degree so I can be a college English professor. And that's exactly what I did. And I taught college English for 3 years. And it wasn't really what I thought it would be.
So what drew you back to the food? So you're teaching English. I can see you being good at this, right? So what brought you back to food?
Food writing.
Okay. I guess that makes sense, right? It's a
was
logical progression, right?
The perfect marriage of the two things. I've always been good at language, and I love words and writing, and so. But the teaching just wasn't great for me, so I actually started at this food magazine, Vegetarian Gourmet. I was vegetarian at the time, and I worked there for 3 years. And I did writing, I did food styling. It was a very small team, so we did the photography. So I got a little taste of everything involved in food publishing, all the magazines that you see, like Bon Appetit and Food and Wine, everything that goes into putting that together.
Okay.
So that was a great experience for me. But yeah, it started with the love of food, I think, just love of eating, and I mostly taught myself to cook. I cook with chefs some, but my restaurant experience is like not even as deep as my son's.
Gotcha. All right. So you said you did go to college.
Yeah.
You got your degree, and what was your degree again?
So college degree was a bachelor's in English and philosophy, double major.
Okay.
Two completely useless majors. No, I'm kidding. Philosophy. I mean, come on. Anyway,
that is that always gets ragged on, right? Like, it's okay to be a deep thinker, right?
You
might not make any money thinking.
You learn how to solve problems,
Okay.
which is useful, and you learn how to think, which is also incredibly useful in any industry.
Okay.
But then my master's degree is in English language and literature. So, I write books now, and
Right.
I was essentially trained in how to do that.
Perfect.
And the food, that skill is mostly self-taught.
Okay, awesome. So, we always got to talk about college debt, right? Like earning power versus how much you're going to owe when you come out of school. It's a big issue for kids coming out of college these days. They get a degree, they're spending sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars on it, and then they're coming out of school making not a lot of money, and they're buried in debt. So, I got to ask you just generally, when you came out into the work world, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of debt did you have? Did you have debt? How did you manage that? Did you have enough earning power to kind of get through that? What's your story there?
I did have debt. So I had, after grad school, I had $12,000 in debt. And that's not very much, but this is also 1991, so this is many years ago.
Yeah.
The cost of education has gone through the roof. Just as an example, when I started college in 1985, my tuition was $11,000 a year. 4 years later, when I graduated, it was $21,000.
And now it's probably
like
60,
double,
right?
Right, exactly.
It's
right.
crazy.
So I didn't have a huge debt, partly because of just inflation. It was a long time ago, but also my parents did. My grandmother mostly put money away for me to go to college, and then I paid for grad school, and I got some grants, I got some loans.
Okay.
So I didn't have a whole lot coming out, but then I just started working and paying it off. My first job was at a publishing company where I made nothing. It was horrible.
Right. Yeah.
But you just keep working and you build up your resume and you get more and more jobs and more jobs that you like and are really building a career.
Right.
And then it can be leveraged into something that is a little more lucrative.
So how long did it take you, roughly, do you think, to pay off your college debt?
Probably 10 years.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, speaking of money, the financial stuff, kind of the boring stuff, but it's important stuff for kids to know for their careers. So, how much money could someone expect to make doing something like you're doing, like food editing or even food styling, some of the other things that you mentioned?
Yeah. So
what kind of range are we looking at here?
If you're at Food and Wine and you live in LA and the rents are high there and the offices are in an economy that is pretty hot, then you're going to make more money. So a food editor at the Food and Wine, you're going to make $100,000 to $150,000 a year.
Nice.
If you're there for a couple of years, if you're starting out, like an assistant or associate food editor, would be lower than that. But you can make pretty good money. So I started my own business in 2002. I was working for a food publisher. editing cookbooks, writing cookbooks, and then when I first started out, my first year I made $40,000,
Okay.
and then my best year was $200,000, and now I average about $100,000. So, I mean, it
Personal
goes up and
information.
down.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah,
with
but-
us. So you're running your own business. How about health insurance? What's that looking like? What's the deal there?
My wife has it through her job.
Okay.
So I don't have to worry about it. If she quit and she freelanced or started her own business, then we would have to get our own health insurance, and it would be expensive, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely an anchor point into like what career you're going to be able to do. But there are advantages to me running my business out of my home.
Right. Okay, awesome. So I'm looking for some advice here, Dave. I don't like to cook. I'm not a good cook. I mean, sometimes I can make a pretty good bowl of ramen. But other than that, I'm just not good at it. The prep kills me. Do you have any advice for me for a guy like me? How could I actually cook something that tastes good with minimal effort?
Pick up my book, A Man, a Can, a Plan.
A man, a can, a plan.
So, all right, so this is a wordplay. You know the palindrome? You know what a palindrome
Yes.
is? So a palindrome is a word that reads the same forwards and backwards. It's pretty awesome. Like race car. Race car is the same forwards and backwards. Race car. So the palindrome that was a play on is a man, a plan, a canal, Panama,
Okay.
which is a palindrome, so that reads the same backwards. But the cookbook is a man, a can, a plan. And every recipe starts with a can of tomatoes or a can of beans or something you have in your pantry that's really ready to hand. So you're
Okay.
not like hunting around. There's no like special ingredients, basic spices like Italian herb blend or salt and pepper, jarred tomato sauce. All the recipes in that book are for people who are just starting out cooking. They probably don't even want to cook or like to, or they don't care about it. They just need to get some food on the table.
And it can still taste good.
And it tastes good, and it's healthy. I did it with Men's Health magazine, and that series of books has sold over 1 million copies.
Oh wow, that's pretty impressive, Dave. Nice, awesome. All right, so we know that you edit cookbooks. We know that you test recipes. What is your day-to-day? You're running your own business. What's your day-to-day operation look like?
I mean, I'm mostly on the computer or in the kitchen, and my office is right off the kitchen, so I'm constantly back and forth between the two. I might be developing a recipe, like maybe for lunch. I'll just come up with some idea and I'll test it out, and then I'll write it up, and then I'll test what I wrote, and that's what I call recipe testing. But most of the time I'm on the computer researching food, writing articles. I edit this website that I mentioned for Wicked Kitchen. So yeah, it's a lot of computer work, but I mean, it's writing, it's research. It's those three things. It's
Cooking,
research, writing, editing. That's
there you
most of
go.
it. I get paid to put words on a page. I don't get paid to put food on plates.
Gotcha.
That's what chefs do.
Okay. I think we had a conversation in the past. You were telling me what a chef actually is. Like what? So I think of a cook, but you corrected me that one time. What exactly is? Why don't you tell our viewers?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty fluid. It is fluid, but a chef literally means a chief. That is a French word, and it means the chief of the kitchen, the person who's running the kitchen. They are in charge. So not only are you cooking the food, you're in charge of ordering the food, or at least overseeing the ordering of the food, the plating of the food. So there's a lot of things that go involved with being a chef, and essentially, like I said, you get paid to put great food on plates, and a great chef gets paid for that. I don't do that now,
So you don't really consider yourself a chef anymore by that definition.
But I cook every day.
Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. Awesome. How many hours would you say that you work a week?
I'd say 40 to 50.
40, 50 hours.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little more.
So I'm going to stop right there. We have a quick message from our sponsors.
Need a midday pick-me-up? Need a mid-run snack? Need the key to happiness? Well, then you need tacos! Did you know that 9 out of 10 dermatologists recommend eating tacos every single day? Tacos! Not all statements are based on fact.
Welcome to my kitchen. So I am testing a tofu banh mi today. This is a Vietnamese sandwich, and cutting up some tofu, making a little pickled carrot with cucumber in there. There's some vinegar and there's some fish sauce too, which hopefully it's not too much of that. But this is a pretty simple dish to put together, and first step is to make the pickled vegetables. I am testing this as written to see if it actually produces the result that it says it's going to produce. A good tasting tofu banh mi. Like, are these amounts correct? Are the cooking times correct? Does it taste good? So that's what I'm testing.
So Dave, if you find something's off, what do? What's the next step?
Well, so this recipe has already been published. This is kind of a special case. Usually I'm testing recipes before the book is published or the recipes in a magazine or something. And I change the recipe. Sometimes I make notes right on here. I have a pencil right here. I make notes right on the recipe. Oh, you know what? This half cup of carrot is really not enough. We have to make that 3/4 cup or a cup. Or there's too much fish sauce. Let's cut that down to 1 teaspoon from 1 tablespoon. So I make those changes. Got some carrots and some oil here. We got the lime zest, a tablespoon of lime juice. Is this sounding good?
Sounds delicious.
Some salt and pepper. And then you basically just let that marinate. So the lime juice is the acid in there. So I probably should have mentioned this earlier. I've written quite a bit on food science because I think it really helps people understand what's going on when a recipe says, let it marinate for 15 minutes. Why do you need to let it marinate? Well, the acid, the lime juice in this recipe is actually breaking down the vegetables and making them softer. And it's infusing them with flavor, and it's allowing all the flavors to meld. So the acid is performing an important function. In terms of flavor balance, there's going to be salt in here, and acid and salt are perceived differently on your tongue. They are different taste receptors. So it's important to have both of those in almost any dish because that is creating more complex flavor. There are only 5 tastes, that's it. But if you can create a dish that has all 5, so sweet, sour, salty, acidic, bitter, umami, it's going to just taste better. It's going to be like fireworks in your mouth. It's like, whoa, sweet, sour, boom, boom, I got all spice, I got all this, So that's kind of what Vietnamese food is like. All right, so this is the second component. We did the pickled vegetables already. This is the creamy sauce. You gotta have a sandwich with the creamy sauce and mayo or something. This is basically a doctored up mayo. So this is mayonnaise and lime zest, and then the secret ingredient, sriracha. That browning is flavor. So you want to do really good browning. You want to develop a nice dark brown color on the food for more flavor. So here's our banh mi. This is a sub roll, and we spread it with the sriracha mayo, and then the fried tofu is here. The pickled carrot and cucumber is right there, and then some cilantro on top. So Rob, let's see what you think of this banh mi.
I'm excited.
Vietnamese banh mi. Tofu.
Here we go. Well, I have to say, that's pretty awesome.
All
It
right.
really is.
All right, welcome back. We are here with Dave Joachim. He is telling us all about the world of food. Some interesting stuff here.
Yeah.
So, how about some pros and cons? What are some pros and cons for your job, for you and your family?
Well,
Just
best
as being a family man.
Yeah, best thing is I'm home.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and I have been home since the kids were in kindergarten, and my wife was in an office. So if I can pick up the kids, this is always an issue. And childcare it's a big commitment. It's very convenient to be able to
That
adjust
is a
my
huge pro.
hours
Yeah.
as necessary. Huge pro. Yeah. Cons, I'm always working.
Right. Wow, so you're home, so this is your office, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I never leave my workplace, but my workplace is home. So at this point, 30 years later, it's blended so much that it's seamless, and I don't mind working all the time. I mean,
Right.
like, I cook lunch, and maybe that turns into a recipe that earns me some money, but I'm eating lunch, so it's
There
fine.
you go. All right, you gotta eat, right?
Yeah.
How about the travel? Does that
Travel's
play-
great. I mean, I've been to Italy 5 times, 3 times for cookbooks with the chef in Philadelphia, Mark Vetri. He and I have written 5 books together. But he took me to Italy a few times. I went on my own a couple times. But yeah, there's great travel opportunities because you learn more about traveling, about food by traveling to another place than you can by any amount of research or eating at a restaurant. Yeah, so yeah, you do learn a lot about the culture through food.
So, I mean, what kind of personal fulfillment do you get from your career? Like, that's a deep question, I know, but you're a
It's a
philosophy
good
guy,
question.
right?
Yeah, no, I like that question. You know what? I mean, the bottom line is it is an honor to feed people because, look, food can kill you. Food can be, things you put in your mouth can be poison. You could undercook a piece of chicken and make someone sick. It's a great responsibility to feed people, but it's also a great honor because if they like your food, you know, it's almost like it's like a bond, you know, and people go back to restaurants because of that.
Yeah,
They're like,
no
I
doubt.
like your food, I'm going to come back, you know. So it's I think it's an incredible honor. I get an immense amount of personal fulfillment from feeding people and writing about food and helping people cook better.
All right, awesome. So, what's next in the world of Dave? What's happening next? Like, what do you got going on right now?
Well, tomorrow morning I'm hopping on a plane to California to ride in Chef Cycle, which is a fundraiser for No Kid Hungry, a national organization to help end childhood hunger. And it is about 300 chefs riding 200 miles in 2 days to raise money to help end childhood hunger. And
sounds
you know,
awesome.
that's my peer group, my industry. So I feel
That's
I
gonna
feel
be
very
fun.
excited about
It's gonna
that.
be good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And then last night, my band had a gig at a motorcycle club. So, you know,
You got some varied experiences there,
yes,
Dave.
so that's my hobby, I would say. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I'm a drummer, so that's more of a hobby. But we make decent money. Other guys in the band, they make money exclusively from music or mostly from music.
Really?
So yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a big fan of balance in life. You don't want to run yourself into the groundwork. You want to be a hard worker and a productive member of society, but you also need to balance your life. And it sounds like drumming is something that helps you balance your life.
Absolutely. You know why? It has
Why?
nothing to do with food, and it has nothing to do with words. So when I'm done working, that is my way of leaving work.
There. So, any books coming out soon?
Yes, so I wrote a book in 2005 called The Food Substitutions Bible, and it won a bunch of awards, and it's still being published. And the third edition of this book, a full-color hardcover, much bigger, expanded version, is coming out in October. So
Awesome.
it's more than 8,000 substitutions for any food you can imagine. The
Is
book-
this for health reasons? Make it healthier? Make it,
yes,
that's the main goal? Yes?
save time
Okay,
because you ran out of the ingredient.
gotcha.
You know, maybe there's another reason you just want to try something different. You want to get creative, you know. So this book is organized A to Z, and you could look up, I don't know, apples and see, well, what's a substitute for apples? You make apple crisp, apple pie, apple dumplings. I don't know what you make with apples, but maybe
Right.
you don't make anything. But
I don't, but
if
my
you're a
wife
cook,
might.
right? Your wife might be like, oh, my family loves these apple dumplings or this apple crisp that I make every year. I wonder what else I could use. Well,
Final question for you. I know you're doing a lot of work with vegan food right now.
yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? I've never tried vegan food, so explain.
Yeah, I mean, vegan
What you're
food
doing
is
there.
all plants, so no animal products. That means not any meat, but also not any dairy products, any cheese, milk. And essentially, I mean, what's happened is that we are producing so much meat and so many animal products that it's taking a toll on mostly the environment. That's like my
Big carbon
main-
footprint, yeah.
It's a huge carbon footprint, and meat production is the biggest. So the UN has a council, intergovernmental council, made up of agencies from across the world, and they came out with a big climate report last fall, and they determined that about 30% of all greenhouse gas emissions come from food production of all types.
Wow.
And meat production in particular accounts for about 17%. So that's quite a bit. And plants are much less. So they're better for the environment. They're better for you. We all know this. Vegetables
Right.
are good for you. Eat your vegetables, right? It's pretty simple. We all know it. We just don't do it.
True, yes.
So, I mean, that's why I started working with this company, because I actually wrote a cookbook with the two chefs who started it 4 years ago. The book did really well. They started a food product company, and that is doing really well also. So we're working on another cookbook too.
Awesome. The light. Are you ready, Dave?
I'm ready.
All right.
Wait, let me stretch out.
Stretch
Okay.
it out.
All
You wanna
right.
pull a hammy.
Okay. I'm
All right,
ready.
here we go. Hamburgers or hot dogs?
Hamburgers.
Best food city?
Seattle.
Best condiment?
Sriracha.
Favorite spice?
Cumin.
Breakfast or lunch?
Breakfast.
Basil or cilantro?
These are good. Cilantro.
Pancakes or French toast?
Pancakes.
McDonald's or Burger King?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Burger King, but this mostly nostalgic.
Yeah. Cake or pie?
Cake.
All right, last one. Give me a chef's secret to make something taste better.
Salt.
Dave has a product line called Chef Salt, if anybody's curious.
Hey, thanks so much for coming on. It was great having you.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for bearing with us. We'll see you later, buddy.
All right.
Please allow him to introduce himself. He's a man that makes great taste. Eat your bowl of good from Dave. Make sure it doesn't go to waste. And I was told that vegan food just can't be all that good. But Dave made sure it tasted great. It really can't be understood. Pleased to meet you. Hope to come back soon. Just let me know and I'll be sure to bring along a spoon.